Record. Hello, welcome to Pride of London Fan TV. Ali here, bringing you a transfer update video. It looks like Palace are set to sign Andersen from Lyon. Fabrizio Romano has uttered the immortal words, "Here we go," and indicated on social media that we are signing Andersen on a contract until 2026. And that is akin to the white smoke wafting out of the Sistine Chapel at Vatican Square. However, it is Palace. We are very capable of messing this up. But it is looking good. It does look like Patrick Vieira has lulled another quality young player to the club, following on from Michael Elise and Mark Gahey. I'm going to very, very quickly go through Andersen's key highlights of his career so far. Then I'm going to be bringing in James Wells, a Fulham fan, to get an insight into what Palace fans can expect from this signing. So Andersen played through the Denmark youth teams from under 16 to under 21 level before being capped by the full international team, and was part of that inspirational Danish squad at the most recent Euros. Between 2000 and 2019, he played for Sampdoria in a very successful spell before joining Lyon in July 2019, where he made his Champions League debut, even scoring in a 3-1 victory against Benfica. He didn't always play. It was a very competitive Lyon team. They did play 32 games, and it was overall a successful spell before joining Fulham in 2020 on a season-long loan, which brings in my next guest, James Wells, who's going to give us an insight on what we can expect from this signing, Andersen. James, how are you? How's relegation?
I'm all good. I think relegation was fairly inevitable from the first kick of the season, unfortunately. So yeah, it is what it is. Maybe bounce back again and go back down again. Who knows? Getting used to it as a Fulham fan these days.
I think a good appointment in Marco Silva, though. So hopefully you will bounce back. Anyway, James, Palace fans are really, really excited about this signing of Andersen, and hopefully you're not going to dampen that by telling us he's rubbish. First of all, what's his biggest strength?
I think that you're all right to be very excited about him. He was really the shining light in the team last year for us. Obviously, we struggled, so it's a pretty dim squad anyway. But yeah, he was fantastic for us last season from the minute he first entered the building. Really. Obviously, he had a little bit of an injury to start with, so it did delay his debut. But almost immediately, Parker made him captain. And whilst I will question a number of Parker's decisions that he made last year, making him captain was definitely the best decision he made. Real true leader on the pitch. And to do that when you're on loan at a club shows that that's not just a showcase on the pitch, that's on the training field as well. So, yeah, a natural-born leader, really. Great attitude. Really gets himself involved with the club, which I know, for Palace fans, that's going to be a massive thing as to whether he'll get, into the spirit of the club and things. And he made that very clear from when he was at Fulham that he was really part of the team, as well as communicating well with the fans. So leadership, 100%, a real key attribute of his. But on the pitch, really, his ball distribution is absolutely second to none, really. Whether it be when he's, travelling forward with the ball with purpose, purpose and direction, which we lacked a lot in our squad last season. He's happy to do that driving forward, but also picking out passes. And I think, one of the big things that we had last season that actually did work was the link up between him and Lookman, and him getting that ball in that first third and looking at putting balls over the top.
Interesting you say that, James, because sorry to interrupt you. Interesting you say that. We've actually been linked with Lookman as well. So that's a very interesting point that you've made. I just want to ask you as well, you talk about his ability to bring the ball out. One of the things Palace fans are speculating about is whether Patrick Vieira might at times move to a back three in pre-season. He's had Tyrick Mitchell, our fullback, bombing on a bit more. And in certain transitions of phases of play, it's looked more like a back three at times. With him, you talking about him bringing the ball out the back and that ability, is that something he's capable of doing, playing within a back three?
Yeah, 100%. We, our actual sort of mid-season improvement, when it looked like we might have stayed up last season, came when Parker went to three at the back. We had Andersen, Adarabioyo and Aina playing with the three at the back. and we actually looked like a team that could have got ourselves out of it for a period of time. Obviously, it all went wrong when, for some reason, he went back to 4 at the back again. But yeah, in that 3, he was absolutely fantastic. I will say that, you know, him and Adebayo had a fantastic partnership anyway, so he struck that up very quickly. So obviously, be looking at Palace to get someone like him, possibly under his wing, or as I know you've signed that Gay, who's quite a young centre back, so maybe he's looking at a similar sort of partnership there. And the pace of Aina alongside him helped as well. So as long as you got a little bit of pace alongside, I think that playing in a back 3 is, you know, definitely something he'll do.
Brilliant. I think the leadership skills are really important, because we've obviously lost Cahill and Scott Dan, who were both, whilst they were aging, their leadership skills were obviously really important. And to lose those 2 would lose a bit of leadership within the squad. So I think the leadership skills are really good to hear. All sounds really positive. I just asked though, what would you say his biggest weaknesses?
He's a very good all-round defender. I mean, if I was to pick something out in terms of his weakness, some of his decision-making at times, particularly, I think it was after the Liverpool game when we beat Liverpool at Anfield, and there was all the hype that, you know, we were going to stay up, and there was a lot of hype about Andersen and Adebayo. He started possibly believing the hype a little bit too much about himself. So that would be something I would be a bit fearful as a Palace fan, if he starts really well and the media start praising him, that he might get a little bit cocksure, because after that he did have a succession of games where he did make some very poor decisions in the middle of games. There was one that stood out against City, which I think actually was the game after Liverpool, if my memory serves me right, where he just bombed forward to make a tackle, threw himself into a tackle, was nowhere near it, and City went on and scored. And then, I mean, we ended up losing 3-0, I think, in the end. But yeah, some question marks over his decision making. Whether that's a concentration thing or a decision making thing, I'm not so sure. But as I say, that, you know, that would be me being incredibly critical over him, because, like I say, that it's hard to pick out a bad game that he had last season, really.
Yeah, I think his stock and his pedigree is quite high. So I mean, even if he started well and the media furore around him started building, it sounds like we've got him on a contract until 2026. So we'll have a lot of sell-on value there, which I think is good.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think that for Palace, it's a massive coup. I mean, I really, even towards the end of the season, before it had finished, he was already being linked with Arsenal and Tottenham. Even United were linked at one point as, you know, sending someone to watch him. So I am quite surprised that Palace have managed to get him. I think it's a really shrewd move. And I think obviously Vieira probably knows him a little bit from his time at Nice, having seen him at Lyon. Maybe that's helped. But yeah, I think a really good pickup for you.
Yeah, I think the Vieira is luring these players in from sound bites coming out. Apparently, he was impressed with Vieira in the chat and that they've had, and that was the same when Mark Gahey and Michael Olise signed. They both mentioned Vieira when they signed as being a key factor. So I think at the moment you can't really judge Vieira as a manager, but it definitely seems to be a strength of his and his ability to attract these players to the club. I just think as well what you're saying about those other bigger clubs being attracted, I'm pretty sure Lyon will have a sell-on fee. I mean, the general fee is meant to be around 20 million, but they would be very silly not to have like a sell-on percentage or something like that. I'm sure that's going to be part of the deal. The other thing I just want to go back to when we were talking about the back 3 is you said that he had someone with pace alongside him. Is that important, do you think? Because it is interesting for me that we've signed Andersen and Mark Gahey at the same time, because Mark Gahey has pace in abundance. It seems to me like we've probably bought this as a partnership.
Yeah, I think so. I think that he's not by any means the slowest centre half you'll see, and he reads the game well. That the pace isn't always an issue, but having Aina alongside him, who had ridiculous amounts of pace last season, it's just having that player there to mop up. And I think, you know, we saw that in the Euros. I was his biggest critic, but Kyle Walker in that back 3 does the similar job, doesn't he? Alongside Maguire, where we don't have that pace, that he just picks up everything that goes in behind. So I think that having someone like that, I mean, I don't know a lot about this Gay guy, but if he's got the pace, then, you know, it sounds like it'll be a match well made.
Yeah, you were a bit harsh on Kyle Walker in Euros. Yeah, no, I think as well, I talked a lot about Patrick Vieira, but Dougie Friedman, our sporting director, when he was our manager, built the promotion winning team with signings like Murray, Jedinak, Yannick Bolasie. And I think finally all these players that we've offloaded, all these wages, he's finally getting a chance to build a team again. I think Dougie Freeman's having a big say in this as well, because for me, those two signings in the central defence, if Andersen goes through alongside Mark Gahey, they seem to complement each other very well. So it is really exciting. Last question, James. If you compare Andersen to any player in Premier League history, who would it be? And don't say Pascal Seagan.
Tyus Bramble? No. I mean, in terms of the as I mentioned before, his passing and his positivity from the back. A player not obviously quite in the same category, but someone like a Ricardo Carvalho at Chelsea, who had that ability to get on the ball, had the eye for a pass, was able to travel with the ball. I think there's someone that in that kind of mould, obviously to a lesser extent, but in that kind of mould would be someone who I would look at him. And he's not of the biggest, he's not the smallest. But yeah, that's who I kind of liken him to. From a Fulham perspective, it was Breda Hangeland when we had him, but probably not going to go down as one of the Premier League greats.
I think we got Hangeland, didn't we? But really at the end of his career. But yeah, I mean, that phrase, eye for a pass, I'm loving, because that's not something you'd associate with Palace in the last few seasons. Well,
like I said as well, last season with Lookman and then playing those balls over the top, when you look at your front line with Zaha and Eze up there, and looking at the pace you're going to have moving forward. Yeah. I mean, I think this Elise, he's got a significant amount of pace as well. So if he can ping balls over the top like he did for Lookman last season, then it's an easy get out of danger, method for Palace really. Whether or not Vieira will want to play that way is remains to be seen. But it's certainly going to be a quick escape clause if you need it.
Yeah, I think Vieira's talked a lot about getting on the ball more, creating more chances. And I have to say, from this chat, that's the one thing I'm taking away from what I'd read about him, commanding centre-half, which we needed after we lost Scott Dan and Gary Cahill. But the fact that he can sort of start attacks is really, really interesting and really, really exciting as well. James, it's been great having you back on. Might have you back on soon. I'm seeing you in a few weeks for your stag do. Maybe if we do get Lookman, we could do that video from your stag do. That would be a much better video.
Might not look quite as fresh though.
No, it might not be advisable to do that actually. But anyway, James, thank you very much for having us on. I hope that you get an instant promotion back. What do you all think? Do you think this is a good signing? So far, the reaction on social media has been very, very good. Who do you think we need next? Rumours of Conor Gallagher. Would you want that one? Lookman, is he someone you would want? Edouard up front, is that unrealistic? What positions do we need to fill in next? Leave your comments below. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, press the subscribe button.